Have you ever walked into a room and immediately noticed the one person everyone seemed to respect? They aren't the loudest. They aren't talking nonstop. They are simply present. We usually assume that authority requires volume. We expect the person in charge to dominate the conversation or project their voice to prove they belong there. Yet the person holding the real power rarely does any of that. When we feel a lack of respect, our instinct is to overcompensate. We speed up our words. We get louder. We increase our output, hoping to force an audience to pay attention. This creates a mystery. Why does the human brain assign the highest level of authority to the person who appears to be trying the least? Presence is a mechanical system of behavioral signals that our brains are hardwired to decode. This diagram shows the process. Disorganized behavioral inputs pass through a pattern recognition filter, resulting in a single solid output of respect. The first signal occurs in the gap between hearing and speaking. When presented with an unexpected statement, a respected person chooses not to rush their response. The default human instinct is to react instantly. We rush to defend ourselves, agree, or interject before the other person has finished their thought. This visualizes cognitive load mapping. Registering a jagged, immediate spike after a trigger point categorizes the response as defensive nervousness. Conversely, a defined horizontal gap before a smooth, measured wave signals serious analytical consideration. That micro-moment of thinking signals absolute situational control. While it may look like silence, it is a display of emotional regulation that the brain interprets as authority. The second signal involves the discipline of stating a point clearly, exactly one time, and then stopping. This causes intense internal discomfort for the speaker. Resisting the urge to explain further can make a thought feel undefended or unfinished. Constant justifications create an unstable pile of information, making listeners feel pressured. This chaotic piling signals a lack of internal belief. Conversely, a solitary statement, like this dense block, projects self-trust, showing it can stand entirely on its own. By refusing to chase attention with further explanation, you allow the listener's brain to accept the initial statement as complete. The third signal is the choice to observe instead of reacting to every minor disagreement, message, or comment. Psychologists refer to this as patterning restraint. Listening without interrupting functions as an active display of authority, demonstrating that your internal state isn't easily disrupted by external noise. This restraint changes the environmental tempo. Refusing to match the frenetic pace of those around you creates a focal point of calm in the room. Human brains continuously track these micro-instances of non-reaction. These moments build a baseline of emotional stability that others use to gauge your reliability. Mastering observation alters the gravity of an interaction. It demonstrates that you do not need to speak to remain the center of attention. Lasting respect is rarely the result of a single impressive display of dominance. It is not something that can be seized in a single moment. The brain aggregates the microsignals we've discussed, the patience to pause, the control to speak once, and the restraint to observe, into a stable psychological profile. A system of forced attention, seen on the left, relies on constant energy, drama, and volume. This state is fragile. It vanishes the moment the performance stops. Earned attention, on the right, is a low-energy state. It is maintained purely by the audience's own pattern recognition, requiring no extra effort once the pattern is established. Mastering the architecture of quiet certainty shifts the burden of proof. When your behavioral patterns consistently signal control and self-trust, the respect of others becomes the logical conclusion of the signals you've sent.